Well, the Raptors lose once again to the Detroit Pistons, 103-87. I'm Randy Urban, and this is Raptors Night Cap. Tonight, we're joined by Leo Rautins, Sherman Hamilton, and Jack Armstrong. Jack, before we get into the details of this game, I just want to talk about that phantom foul on Scotty Barnes late, just real quick. Like, how does that happen? I saw the replay looks on TV. It was clearly not what they called. How does that happen?
No, Randy, I agree with you. I was surprised. And obviously, when you're not there in person, and we were calling the game from studio here at the Scotiabank Arena, it's always difficult to really get a sense of it. But, we're getting the same look as the people in Secaucus that are in the replay center. And to me, it clearly looked like he tripped over his own feet. Now, obviously, they're saying the contact by Scotty Barnes prior to that led to maybe the offensive player losing his balance, but surprising to say the least.
Mm-hmm. And then Leo, the non-flagrant foul. I don't know that it's a flagrant foul, but just taking that much time to call that foul, to make that a common foul on Boucher. I know it's probably not flagrant, but it's a bit of a dangerous play to push somebody from behind into, the ball or into somebody.
Yeah, but I mean, like I said, I don't think we'd be actually talking about a lot of this if if the effort was a little bit more consistent for the Raptors, And I mean, there's always going to be plays that you're going to look at, you're going to shake your head at, and, it happens kind of on a nightly basis. But, what bothers me more is the way the Raptors came out in this game, right? I think one thing is clear. They're not good enough to just come out. They got to come out and play the way they came out against the Phoenix Suns. They went and they attacked. They were deliberate on offense. They were focused on defense. And there was a lack of that at both ends of the court in this game. And you're beginning a very difficult road trip. I mean, this road trip is going to be a challenge. Tomorrow night is going to be a monster game. And you don't want to start it off this way. And you end up putting in yourself a position that, now it's a fatigue position where you're just chasing all game long. And that's difficult to play the first game of a back-to-back that way. So they just got to lock in a little bit better, and we know they can do it, but they have to do it.
Yeah. Sure. Detroit's had some, success against the Raptors the last little while. Did it look like Detroit was in the head of the Raptors? And if so, in what ways did that play out?
Well, they were definitely in the paint of the Raptors. I mean, they lived in the paint starting in that first quarter and continued to just really pound the paint of the Raptors. And I really thought Detroit had that extra step in the game. They got to positions first. They were there involved in plays. And, I was really surprised at the fact that the Raptors from a help side position were so late on so many cuts. There were drives, they were focused on the ball, and guys would cut in from the weak side, and there were drop-off passes for easy buckets. So I just thought the Raptors' focus and attention to detail on defensive end really hurt them. And you could see the confidence of Detroit continue to grow throughout the game. They knew they could score. They felt like they were able to manufacture some kind of offense. And Nick Nurse threw everything in the book at the Detroit Pistons. Full court press, half court zone, traps, different screen and roll defense. The Raptors just couldn't respond. And this has got to be one of those 10 games of the year where no matter what you do, you're just not going to figure it out, and the other team's going to be better than you.
Yeah. Jack, I like your jacket, first of all.
Well, I'm sitting in the Scotiabank Arena, and the ice is back down.
Okay.
And I'm freezing, and it's actually cold outside, and the wind is drifting through the arena. So I have my coat on because it's really cold in here.
Yeah. How did Detroit's half-court defense cause problems for the Raps? What were they doing to limit Toronto's offense?
Oh, I think the biggest thing was they protected the ball tonight. Would they have 8 turnovers as a team tonight? So, number one, they didn't allow Toronto to run because they didn't turn the ball over. Number two, I thought they were pretty disciplined in terms of their shot attempts. Again, that limits Toronto. I thought they did a pretty good job as the game went on, battling a little better on the glass. I thought Toronto got the best of them early on the offensive glass, but they did a little better. So you add it all up, they kept Toronto out of transition. I thought they sprinted back and made the Raptors run a ton of stuff 5-on-5 half court. So, again, give the Pistons credit. They never trailed. right? They never trailed the whole game, wire to wire.
Leo, Trey Lyles isn't exactly an offensive juggernaut, but he can have games like this. Why was he so effective tonight?
Well, I thought he did a really good job of taking advantage of opportunities. He's a fundamentally sound guy. He did a great job of getting to the offensive glass. He plays position, and there were a couple of opportunities he had, say, Fred in the post, and unlike most big guys or bigger guys that get a small guy in a post, he actually took Fred into the lane. And he did it several times, and the Raptors didn't give help. They were late coming over. So he just played a fundamentally sound game. And that's, I've been watching this kid since Kentucky, and that's who he is. He may not have numbers that blow you away, but he's got a game that's very solid. And in this game, he came in. I thought his contribution in the first half was really helped them keep the Raptors down. Every time the Raptors, tried to get going, he was right there. He'd do something, score, offensive rebound, something. And defensively, he's a worker. He's a grinder. So it was a solid performance by him and fellow Canadian Corey Joseph. I thought both of them did a great job.
Sherman, this is not the Detroit team that the other, teams in the league get to play, but where are they? Where is this team right now?
Well, if you're the Detroit Pistons, you think you're turning the corner now. You think you're finally on the uptick. I mean, they've lost a lot of games. I mean, they've lost 31 games this season, so they've struggled. But I really think when you look at Detroit, they're a younger team, and they sprinkled some veterans into the group, Canadian vets, and these guys are slowly figuring out how to play. And you tip your hat to Dwayne Casey. We've seen him on the sidelines for Toronto. We've seen him work through young talent and get young talent to play the right way. And that's what we're seeing in Detroit. These guys are playing hard. And both Leo and Jack, you guys know this. The main thing is to get young guys to understand to play every possession because everybody's talented in this league. You've got to play every possession. You've got to play hard. You've got to play focused. You've got to play smart. And in this game, I think we saw a lot of those elements come to fruition based on how they executed, how they didn't rattle when the Raptors got it to an 8-point lead, and then they just continued to play their style of basketball. So this is a team that I think you look beyond this season and say, a couple other pieces involved in, there's no Jeremy Grant on the floor. So this team is still much better than they were tonight. So I think it's a positive time for Detroit fans when you think about how this season has gone to this point. You turn the calendar year, they're starting to play much better basketball.
Jack, as a coach, you can always find a positive in a loss. Were there any positives for the Raptors that stood out to you?
Well, to me, I just look at the fact that, kind of like glimpses. Like I thought Scotty Barnes came on late. Maybe that's encouraging the carryover. I think your big three are fine. Really. I mean, I think Van Vliet, Siakam, and Anunoby, between the three of them, you're fine. So you look and you say, you know what, I have a core there. And if I get Gary Trent back and Scotty Barnes plays like he did late, I got the semblance of a good team. They're a good team. The question is going to be, are they going to get consistent play from their secondary players? And that's a challenge right now. And to me, I think that's the thing that they gotta break through on is, can a Utah Watanabe or a Mihailuk or a Precious Achua. I like what Boucher's doing right now. We don't know what the status of a Ken Birch is. But, to try to be able to kind of put together enough from those guys to make you a good team. And I think when they get enough from those guys and the top guys they have, they can play with anybody.
Yeah. Leo, Boucher, Jack mentioned Boucher, and Boucher recently talked about wanting to model his game after Dennis Rodman, which is high praise. But just what do you think about that?
Well, I think it's smart, right? Role players have an important part in this league. What did Kawhi say? Board man gets paid, right? So if you get rebounds, and what is over the last few games, what's Chris been doing on the floor at the end of games? Why? You're rebounding, you're defending, right? You don't want to take bad shots. You want to take care of the basketball, and you want to give the Raptors second and third shot opportunities, clean up the defensive glass, and be a major contributor at defensive end of the floor. You got to remember what, like Jack said, if you got your big three rolling, and some other guys doing things. You know, there's not a lot of shots left over, so you got to do something else. You take what you get, but you've got to contribute in a big way in those areas that we talked about. So I think Chris is realizing that. And if you want to look at a guy like Rodman and say, hey, I want to do it that way, well, that's a pretty good role model, because that guy led the league in rebounding, and it was a great defender, and it was tough, right? So if he can contribute in that way, it's going to help this team a lot.
And I will say this too. Yes, it's a great idea. Rodman was a fearless and a monster on the glass. He was a very, very, very elite defender. But one thing Dennis Rodman might not get the credit for is his mind for the game. He was a smart player defensively, understand how to rebound, and he had the heart to match it. And if Chris Boucher wants to put all the elements of a Dennis Rodman into his game, that's going to be a part of it as well. Because if he can emulate a Dennis Rodman and be that relentless and that vicious and that determined on the glass, he's going to change the complexion of this team if he's able to do that. So I'd love to see him be another version of a Dennis Rodman.
Jack, real quick, last 30 seconds. Pascal came in averaging 24 on 48% shooting in his last 10. He had 23 and 11 tonight. Where's his game? I'm looking at an all-star in my mind here.
I agree. You know, we're talking a lot about Fred VanVleet. I would agree with you about Pascal. And, you know, he had 4 assists tonight. And again, if some other guys make some shots that he's getting them open shots on, he's probably got 6, 7 assists. So to me, he's playing all out. He's back, you know, completely from that shoulder surgery. I really like where he's at as a player. And as you guys know, in terms of all-star consideration, a lot of it comes down to how your team does. This was the easiest game on the trip in terms of the opponent, because the next 4 all have winning records. So, you know, if you're going to get 1 or 2 guys on the all-star game, you got to win some games. So hopefully they play better starting tomorrow night.
All right, guys, I really appreciate you doing this. That's it for the crew. Next game for the Raptors. They will do it again tomorrow night, as Jack mentioned, against the Milwaukee Bucks, 6:30 p.m. Eastern. We'll see you then.